Hi, Henry Triple here, going over M.I.A. programming devlog. Here, we're going to go over just the AI's functionality and features and how they work. Let's just ignore that for a second. So the AI have field of view and line of sight. They will spot you pretty instantly. They don't really give you much of a break, but they are also pretty easy to avoid. So when you're spotted by AI, you see most of them have patrolling. It is a state machine AI. So when they're patrolling, they'll be wandering around their area. They'll pick random spots on their area, within their area, and just move to it. And as soon as they see the player, as soon as they get a line of sight to the player, let's try and provoke this AI. They get a so you see they have a patrol point target, and they will also have a last known enemy position. So it last saw me around here. So all of the AI that are alert will look towards that position and patrol randomly around that position if they can get to it. So they'll have a look around there and have a look for me. And if they can't find me after a certain amount of time, they'll go back to their designated patrol route. So you can also sneak around them with crouch, and they're probably not going to see me. Oh, he saw me. But you can get away with pretty close to them with crouch. Oh, let's try this one. See if he's a little bit more blind. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's not going to be able to see you if you're crouched. Um, if you stand up and get in his face, then he's going to start to see you. Let's unmute the audio. Yeah, and now they're going to start looking at you. But yeah, you can. There's quite a lot of AI in this level, and they are pretty tricksy. Oh, and pretty hard to avoid all of them, but you can stealth around all of them and manage to beat the level without getting any sort of alerts at all. Their rockets will home in on you, but they're also very random. So they'll home in, but quite poorly, and you can use the homing to actually see that one came back and hit him because I was standing right here. When you shoot at them, when they shoot at you, even sorry, um, and then you switch places with them, their rockets will come back and seek after them instead of you. So you can always use that to dodge AI as well. Cool. So that's pretty much the functionality. Let's go over the how the AI actually works. So it's a pretty much a standard kind of state machine setup. Just does runs checks, and if those checks come through, it does the set state. So obviously, if it's dead, it's not going to do anything. It's going to say death voice line, and then just make sure it doesn't attack the player or move. Um, Other than that, it does have a search. So what this search function does is it makes sure that it generates search points around an area, around its area, around its search range, and this is something we can change with difficulty. So the higher difficulty, the larger the search range we can give it. Um, it then finds that position on the nav mesh and essentially just goes towards the next point, that position if it's on the nav mesh. Um, so yeah, that's the search function. It's pretty simple, but really quite effective because it is very random, and players aren't really expecting them to be AI to be like random at all. So sometimes you'll sneak behind it, and then it's trying to find you. So you crouch behind it. It just chooses a random search point that happens to be like behind the player. So it'll just turn around, and you as the player, will have two rockets straight to the face. So it does add quite a level of danger to being around the AI, despite their overall clumsiness. Um, so I say Kandar player. I was just going insane, to be honest. So it says the attack voice line, and then it shoots at the player. Nothing much here. It does have two guns, so there's a little bit of logic to make sure that it's using the right gun to fire the right projectile, and making sure the animations work properly. Um, so if it can see the player, but it's not within range of the rockets, it's going to go towards the player's position. That's going to be just literally setting the destination to the player. Not very complex. If it does stand still, because if you have an AI that is constantly moving, constantly turning, it's too challenging for the player. There's too much movement. It's unpredictable, and it's not very fun. So when they get to a patrol point, a search point, they will just stand still, have a look off into the distance, see if they can spot the player. So there is a wait timer that's also adjustable in the difficulty scriptable object. So yeah, and if it's around the last known position, it'll have a quick search, asking, it'll threaten you, it'll say it's going to find you, and otherwise it'll just patrol around. Um, and if any of the AI can see it, it sets the last known position to the player's position. So that's generally how it works. Again, the complexity comes from adding all the effects, so making sure the gun barrels work, making sure all the animations are fine, and also just debugging. So here we can see, sorry, here you can see what each AI is doing. One's waiting, searching. Most of them are waiting or searching right now because they can't see me. But yeah, hey, that's pretty much the AI functionality right there. And once they die, they'll turn into a little rigid body and just have a roll around. Or if they come off the nav mesh for any reason. Oh, one of them got me. I think that's a pretty good place to end it. So thanks for your time and watching how I accomplish this task with the AI.